Hey, what's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Dewan. I'm here with a special guest today. I got Deena McKay from Tech Unplugged. She's a all-around businesswoman, entrepreneur, and she's doing her thing. And today we want to talk about being black in tech and just her experience in technology. So with no further ado, what's up, Deena?
Hey everybody, how are you?
Good. How are you doing today?
Good. A little chilly because Chicago, but
Oh yeah, the Windy City. That's what's up.
yeah,
How do you like Chicago?
I like it. There's a lot of opportunity here. There's a lot of things to do. Like you'll never be bored on a weekend or a weekday.
Right.
So I love it.
That's cool. That's cool. How's the tech community?
It's growing because I moved here in 2009. There was like no one really talking about being black in tech. There were a few tech groups, but now it's just like so many groups on the scene, so many groups doing amazing things. So it's growing every day.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And I can imagine what Chicago is one of those cities is, when you mention America, Chicago's probably number 3 on the list behind New York and LA.
Right. Yeah.
So I can only imagine, what's going on there. So that's what's up. I'm glad you're there representing.
Yes. So you've never been to Chicago
I
before?
flew through like O'Hare like a million times.
You flew through Chicago. You got to stop by. Just stop like for a weekend in the spring or summer because winter is a little chilly.
Right.
But yeah, like just stop through. You would like it.
The one time that I was going to go, they talk about parking. I was going to drive, then they say parking is like, the hotel was like $75 a day for parking. And I'm like, man, I'm not paying that.
Oh yeah, parking is ridiculous. Like I don't have a car. Most people don't have cars here. It's easier to just take transit.
Right.
But for people who have to actually park, like if you live in an apartment building, it's probably like $200 a month. So it's like almost like paying for a separate apartment.
Man, that's, but I mean, in a city that has a good transit system, it makes sense,
Right.
to not have a car and to just enjoy the city. So that's what's up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I got a couple questions here that I want to talk about. And the first one I want to ask you is, tell me how you started from the bottom.
So when I started out in tech, kind of a weird journey. So when I was in high school, I always took computer classes, and we had none teacher. So Sister Ann was teaching computer classes, and she would always say, you're really good at computers, and be telling me to take all these different classes, and I'm like, yeah, but you're in high school. You're like, I don't want to be no nerd.
Right.
So I was kind of reluctant at first, but I would take different computer classes. So when I went to college, I, for some reason, thought I was going to be an athletic trainer.
Mm.
Then I got into like having to wrap somebody's ankle, and I was like, this really isn't for me. What else can I do? I always liked technology.
Right.
I always was into computers. And so I was like, what's something that's computers and like business? Because I always felt like I was kind of business savvy. So I was like, I'll do information systems. And then from there on out, I was always into tech, doing tech things, learning different learning how to program and code, things like that. And so once I hit that moment where I found out information systems is where I wanted to be, it just took off.
That is what's up. So specifically, when you mention coding, is there a language that you are really into, one that you recommend for people going forward?
So I actually am getting back into coding now
Okay.
because I'm trying to get different opportunities. For about 5 years when I was working, I never had to do coding. So JavaScript is like one that I highly recommend because I feel like once you know JavaScript, you kind of could do almost anything else.
Right.
I mean, if you just like talking about tech skills in general, let's just say like knowing SQL or SQL is like very helpful because a lot of people use databases now. But JavaScript or like Java is I think once you learn that basic, you will know how to do a lot of other coding.
Yeah, most of the lists that I see, JavaScript is like number 1 or number 2 in 2018. Up there with Python. Both of those are like at the top. So that's what's up. Okay, so what was your money move? The move that really, set you up and had a major impact on your career?
Okay, so I'm going to give 2 examples. My first example is like when I was in college and I finally got a tech internship.
Right.
I didn't know people was getting paid like this. Like, I understand it's an internship, but I was like, oh, so it's like, this is where the money's at. This is where people like actually make some money.
Right.
So that was my first, I was doing application development at that time. I mean, in the future, I learned that that's not really where I wanted to be.
Right.
But just to have that experience and then to actually get paid for being an intern, it was just a crazy experience for me. And then when I got out of college and was doing my first real world job, I was a consultant right out of grad school. And just like, that was my real, like, I moved out the house. I had my own apartment. Like, I got to pay for things. It was just like, okay, so now I'm an adult and this is how it works. So those are like my two main money making experiences that kind of shaped me to where I am today.
That's what's up. So application development. That sounds fun. How was that?
So I was working at a bank doing application development.
Okay.
Not as fun, but I think, especially like where we are now with building apps, sometimes you don't have to do apps with code anymore.
Right, exactly.
So it's like, I just think it's fun because you get to use your creativity. You get to make whatever you want, however you want, and you get to experiment and learn how to make it the best product it is. So app development to me is amazing. I hope more people get into it. And yeah, I would highly recommend taking that as one of your steps in your journey.
Yes, I agree. And it's funny because we're like from like the same area. And when you mention how much people get paid, I go back home, talk to my friends and people from that area. I'm like, yo, if you really want to make, some good money, you should learn, at least get an A+, or get something. Even at that level, you're going to make, $15 to $20 an hour starting off in that area. So it's like, I don't think a lot of people know that.
Well, what's crazy is I feel like, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but most people from our area they're not really into tech. Like, they don't know that you could be a programmer, and it's not like a hot commodity of jobs from where we're from.
Yeah, it's not at all, because for one, there's no startup, there's no innovation. We're still in that Rust Belt. So you still have those factories where people wake up and, work those 12, 16-hour days. And I mean, I still do that now, but it's just different rather than being in a factory to where it's hot in the summer and it's cold in the winter.
Right.
There's other avenues that you could create, especially being like a web developer. You don't need nobody to hire you,
Right. But I don't know, for some reason in our area, it hasn't really picked up.
Yeah, that's the main reason I want to move back, because I hope Amazon goes to Columbus. If Amazon goes to Columbus, I feel that would do something for the Midwest, specifically in that area, that needs to be done. Because there's a lot of smart people, skilled people. There are a lot of companies in Columbus and Cleveland, but as far as talent, it's not being, to me, nurtured in that area.
Right. I know one woman in the Cleveland area, Nichelle McCall. She kind of tries to help startups. But if you ask me how many other people are doing that in the Cleveland, Columbus, Akron area, I couldn't tell you. Right. Because it's not popular. So I think what we need to do is, hook up with LeBron's people and start something. So, if he hears this, we ready.
Speaking of LeBron, LeBron is doing this thing in Akron. He's boots on the ground, so I'm sure, he'll be open to that. Or if he's not already doing it, I mean, he's giving away scholarships, something like, I don't know, 10,000 scholarships or something crazy. Like, LeBron is definitely putting in work. Shout out to him.
Right. I don't know if he's very tech focused. I know he's overall education focused. It's like, let's get something in the tech, and I feel like a lot of athletes are doing that now. I don't know if you saw the All-Star weekend, they had like a little tech festival.
Right.
So it's like, everybody's kind of getting into it. Let's spread that out to our community.
Yeah. Did you see that Chameleonaire? What he's doing?
Yes.
We need more of that.
Right. He was at, I don't know if you're familiar with Afrotech.
No.
So Afrotech is a event that's in San Francisco, usually in November, put on by Blavity, and it's just different people who are African American doing things in the tech industry. And he was one of the guests last year, so it's just awesome to see people of color that, you know, somebody who looks like you that's actually doing something in the space, and you don't have to feel like, you know, sometimes we feel like we're the only one situation, you know?
Right, right.
It's like nice to see like a lot of people in one space that are doing what you're doing and can talk to you about it and talk about different situations. So
True. Speaking of the only one, so throughout your career in Chicago, the environments that you've been in, how has the diversity been?
So my current position, I'm the only one.
Okay.
On my team, I'm the only one. And so I would say the other two, I did consulting. So the first year that I got out of grad school and went to consulting, luckily there was another female who was African American. So I wasn't alone.
Right.
And I actually learned a lot from her. So that was helpful, especially my first big real job out of grad school.
Right.
And then the second job of consulting, I was the only one again in the whole like sector of where I worked.
Yeah.
Like I was working with Microsoft CRM and I was the only Black woman in there.
Which is dope, you know, because
But
there's times where it's none of us represented, so it's definitely dope that you was able to do that. So that's what's up.
But sometimes it's a lot of pressure. Like it's a lot of pressure to be the only one, and then they don't know how to relate to you, and they don't know like your working style, or you know, we have different interests. We
Right.
have different ways of communicating. We have different ways that we relate to people. So it's kind of hard sometimes where you're put in these situations, you're the only one, and they can't even understand where you're coming from. So it's a given pros and cons to the situation.
I agree. I agree. I mean, throughout my career, every job I pretty much, except for one, has been the only one.
Really?
Period. Yeah. Throughout my career, especially what I do, it's yeah. I can't. It hasn't been. I haven't had a bad experience. You know, like it's been some interviews that I wasn't too happy with, but as far as where I've worked, even though I'm on the only one, you know, I've always related to people, and I like to hear. I've been around the world, so just hearing other people's backgrounds, seeing other cultures, you know, seeing how people do things, that's interesting to me. So it's been cool, but it's time to change that. It's time to have more inclusion and create our own, you know.
Right. I completely agree. But that's why I made Black Tech Unplugged. So hopefully more people will get into it.
Speaking of that, so I watched everything that you've put out, you know, on YouTube, and it's been so dope. And I was watching Nick Caldwell, and he was talking about the Tandy 1000. I was just in the store and seen one of those, and I was going to buy it. And I was like, man, this would be dope to have like on the shelf in one of my videos. And then he mentioned it, and I'm like, I hope they still got that.
You didn't go back and buy it right away?
No, because I mean, actually, it was today when I seen it. And so when I got home, you know, I was watching the video, catching up as I was cooking, and then he mentioned it, and I was like, ah, man, okay, I need to wake up in the morning and go get that.
Yeah, the February videos that I put out for Black Tech Unplugged, I love the campaign, and I hope next year more people will participate. But it's just like everyone's perspective of being Black in tech is so unique and different. And then it's like to hear someone's perspective and to put out those good vibrations in regards to tips and advice for how to be successful. I mean, who doesn't want to hear that?
Man, you are the perfect person for that. The energy that you put out, the way you network and connect with people is just amazing. So I would definitely commend you. Because I'm like, man, this dude's the VP of Reddit? What? I would have never thought that, because I've never heard a Black person mention Reddit in my life. No, I take that back. My one boy has. But other than that, nobody mentions Reddit.
Really? Are you a Reddit user?
I'm not.
I mean, I'm slowly learning how to do it too. It's not that Reddit isn't a good place to, you know, network and talk to people. It's a good communication channel. It's just like, for me, it's just, I can't get the hang of it yet. But I'm working on it.
Yeah, if I do a Google search and a Reddit comes up, I check it out and I keep it moving. I'm not the type of person that be in any type of social media for real, except for like Twitter and YouTube, you know?
Right.
Reddit takes work.
It does. It's like really like almost going back to college. It takes like, yeah. You just like, I'm in this textbook and I got to figure out what I need to read and what I need to throw to the side.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. So to see that Nick was the VP of that, I was just like, well, of the engineering side, I'm like, wow, that is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I liked his video. So I was excited and happy that he was able to do it and share with everyone. So if you haven't checked it out, go to the Black Tech Unplugged YouTube channel. It's youtube.com, and I think it's Black Tech Unplugged. It might be a different. I'll give you the link. You can share with people.
Yeah, I got the link. I was gonna put it in the video, description. So I got you. Okay.
And you did a video too. While we're talking about videos.
Yeah, but that we're not talking about me. You know, I'm just a regular guy. You know, you got some major people on there. Yeah. But your
video was good too. I mean, like you said, I have good energy. You have good energy too, and it was nice to see someone who, you know, had that start for the bottom moment, and then you grew yourself. Like you had to find your own resources. So it's always nice to see how people come up in tech and how it's always helpful to share what resources you use too.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Yeah, and so I wanted to ask you while we're still on this before we move on. The one guy, I forget his name, but he is doing, I guess, hardware engineering. He's producing like computer chips or something. He had the grill in his mouth.
Oh, Teo.
Yeah, Teo. I was gonna ask, so he's actually developing hardware?
So what he's doing is he's developing it. So he's like fashion tech. So he has these book bags that have like a tech component to it. So I believe the hardware is like in the backpack, excuse me. So he's developing something there. And actually I could give you a link and you can find it in the description because he's doing like a GoFundMe kind of page. And so they're on their last day of funding. So if anybody's interested, you can tap that link and help them out and learn more about their product too, because he's going to be doing some major things. He's very innovative.
Yeah.
Just like extremely intelligent. I highly recommend that you follow him and follow his story.
So he's on his, man, I'm not going to have this video out in time. So this last day, it's his last day of the GoFundMe?
It's not the last day, but it's like, I know it's winding down right now. I don't know when the exact last day is.
Okay, cool. I'm going to support. I'm going to have the link in the description also. So that's what's up. All right. My next question. What kind of certifications do you have, if any?
Okay, so when I first started off consulting, I was implementing like whole systems like Microsoft AX and Microsoft CRM. So for people who don't know what that is, AX is like a manufacturing software. So if you're a manufacturing company, you could keep track of your goods. You could keep track of like your financials for the goods and all that kind of stuff. So reporting, all that. So I have certifications in that. But I also did Microsoft CRM, which is the customer relationship management portion. And so what I have for that system, I got certified for that system as well. In that system, you're more so keeping track of your customers, what they like, their preferences, that kind of thing. Most recently, though, I got a Scrum Master certification. So I am Safe, Agile, Scrum Master certified. Highly recommend getting like Agile certifications because I feel like that's where tech is shifting to.
And explain Agile.
Oh, Agile is a framework or methodology that people are using to create products. So for instance, let's say you want to create an app. So you have different sprints, and sprints are just different like a 2-week, sprints are usually 2 weeks. It's basically a grouping of, you have what's called user stories, or what other people would say are requirements. So you want to get these certain features completed in a sprint, and then you present what you've already produced in what's called a sprint review. Okay. So basically it's a faster way to create products. Each sprint is only 2 weeks. So you have 2 weeks and you might have like 2 to 3 sprints. And then you do your MVP and reveal each time that you can, let me take a step back. Each time you complete a sprint, you reveal what you created. But then in the end, you go to your prod or MVP and you show what you created and people start using it.
Huh. You know what? So you're like a souped up business analyst. You
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. pretty much.
You help companies, interact with their customers, be more lean with the products that they produce and all that. That's dope. Like,
well, that's kind of like what I want my, I guess, next position or something to be. But right now, so I'm technically an enterprise architect.
Okay.
So I'll explain what that is because nobody ever knows what it is. So you have an enterprise. The enterprise is just your whole company, who you're working for. And so within the enterprise, there's an architecture, how people relate and do things and how different teams relate. So I keep track of all that information and help build out the governance process for that. In my current role, though, I have the opportunity to do a project where I was a Scrum Master. So I was like, why don't I get certified? Because it's something that I was passionate about, and it's something that I know in the future I probably will want to continue with. So I inadvertently became a Scrum Master while working as an enterprise architect.
You know what? That's mastery. At its fun. No, seriously. I do my best to try to express that to people. A lot of times we be in positions that we may not want to be in or desire to be in somewhere else than where we are. But the way you handled that was like, okay, this is what I'm doing now. Why not become a master in it, and it'll open up a door for something else? So salute.
Yes, thank you. I mean, this is what I always tell people, because everybody's always, some people be like, I don't like my job. I don't want to be here. You
Right.
have your moment.
Right.
You're not a tree. You ain't got roots. You gotta move. And anything that's dead, that's on that tree, that's a leaf, let that thing fall to the ground, because you'll get some new leaves later. It's okay.
Facts. I like that analogy, for real. You're not a tree. You don't have roots. You better move. That is what's up. I like that.
Thank you.
Okay, so as a Scrum, with all of what you're doing as far as an enterprise architect, what do you see your industry in 5 years?
So my industry is like tech industry in general.
Okay. Well, as far as being an enterprise architect, where do you see the enterprise in 5 years, I should say, as far as what you do specifically in tech?
Well, so I'll be honest, I don't know if I see myself as an enterprise architect in 5 years.
Okay, that's good.
I do, however, see myself like maybe in a Scrum Master role, or a role where I continue to build. So somewhere where I'm still being able to produce products. I'm being able to say, like, ooh, I produced that and everyone's using it. So definitely producing products, being on a team, being a leader, that's where I see myself in 5 years.
Yeah, you're on your way. You're already a leader, so that's what's up.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, my next question. Did you go to college? And if so, what was that experience like?
So I did go to college. I went to undergrad in Buffalo, New York, and then I went to grad school here in Chicago. So that's how I got to Chicago. When I went to Buffalo, it was my first time away from home.
Okay.
So, it's like your first time away from your parents. I wouldn't say I lost my mind, but I definitely was like, this newfound freedom was something new to me. I was like out here, out in the street.
Right.
But after being in college for like a semester, learning the ropes of these are the classes you need to take, this is what you can and can't do, I started getting more acclimated. So definitely was a learning curve though. So I highly recommend, if you're like going to college and you haven't really been away from home, definitely seek some like mentorship. If you can like go stay a weekend with somebody who's in college so you can see what it's like, I highly recommend it, because I feel like a lot of people, especially people of color, you go to college and you're just thrown in this environment. You don't really know what you're doing, and you're just there because your parents told you to get a college degree.
Yeah, straight up.
And it's like there's so much we could teach each other just about like going to class, how classes even look like. Because in high school, you're used to somebody telling you these assignments are due on this day. You got to do this, that, and the other. You have reports. In college, nobody's telling you that. They're just like, in college, you're almost like, you can come to class if you want to, which I had a little period of that. But, you learn, because you're like, you have this newfound freedom. You're like, I ain't got to go to class. I'll pass. And it's like, no, that doesn't work. You got to teach yourself how to study. Nobody's telling you read pages 1 through 30 tonight. They expect you to read that and come to class knowing the material.
Facts.
So it was a learning experience. Graduate school was a little bit different though, at least from my perspective, because it was like majored in information systems is what I got my degree in undergrad.
Okay.
When I went to grad school, I did the same major. So that was my focus. So I knew that was my passion. So going into it, grad school was like kind of easy for me in the sense of I wanted to learn that stuff and I knew that stuff. So for me, it was like, okay, this is just, I'm refreshing my skills and getting the skills and experience I need. So it kind of depends on what you want to do.
Right, right. So information systems, how does that differentiate from computer science?
So computer science is much more technical. It's a lot of coding. You can do kind of like hardware, depending on where you go, hardware or developing software in computer science.
Right.
Information systems is the computer part and business. So it's a little bit of coding, but a lot of business classes. So you learn about marketing, you learn about just like management, business concepts, and you learn about like programming as well as like databases, but it's all high level tech.
Right.
As opposed to like getting down to the nitty gritty, like let me build this program now. So, but it's all what you make it, because you have the option to do electives and you can do other programming classes. And that's how what I did for myself was taking other programming classes and learning more.
Okay. See that? So basically your degree along with your master's just basically combined with your certifications really make you a problem in these streets.
I mean, I hope so. I mean, somebody could call me because, you know, I'm open to opportunities.
Facts. Facts. Keep them options open.
Well, I mean, and I think what I've been learning lately, at least, is like, it's all about how you market yourself.
Right.
So your resume, like, for instance, if I'm applying to a Scrum Master job, what I put on a Scrum Master resume will not be what I put on an Enterprise Architect resume. It's just two different, it's all about how you market yourself. And it's definitely, I've been learning like how to approach a resume and what to put on there and what not to put on there.
You know what? That's an area I really would like to talk more about.
Actually, what I'm going to do is, so back in the day, I was teaching classes like before Black Tech Unplugged. I was just doing this for my brand. And me and another friend of mine, she does Queen's Brunch. We did a Mastering LinkedIn class. So as a bonus to this episode, I will send you the link so you guys can watch it and you can get tips, because there were major tips dropped. The woman who taught the particular class was like the LinkedIn professor is what they call her. Her name's Tawana Ross. So definitely we'll share that.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. So my next question, and it's the last question, probably the next to the most important question that everybody's waiting on. What advice do you have for someone looking to get in IT or someone that may be coming behind you in IT?
So in regards to getting into IT, just don't be afraid, because I know there's a lot of horror stories out here. You know, we've experienced things. And I think in the future, things are getting better. They're not the best by any means. Numbers for minorities and especially top tech companies are still like marginal. They're still like 1% to 5%, if that. But don't be afraid. There are so many organizations, so many groups that can assist not only with questions or situations, but just be the tribe that you're looking for. So don't be afraid to join. Don't be afraid of being the only one and they're not going to understand you. To be honest, you don't need them to understand you. What you need to do is get in that job, do your job, do it well. Now, I will say you should also back up. For instance, if you're in a situation with someone, always make sure you have it on paper. Always make sure you have something to back it up, because that has been a learning experience of mine, where someone says one thing and then they do something else, but you don't have it written down or on paper. So always have it in an email or something.
Right.
And then as far as people who are kind of like coming in behind me, just do the best that you can. Find what you're interested in. When I did internships, I did all sorts of stuff. I don't do application development now, but I sure took that internship.
Right.
I did a QA analyst internship. I did so many things and just learned what I actually liked in tech and pursued that.
Right.
And that's how you're going to be successful. Don't try to fit your life. If you're a circle, don't try to fit into a square. That's not how it's going to work. Just be you. Be the authentic you, and don't worry if it doesn't fit the molds. Like, I know a lot of people want to work at the top tech companies, but maybe that's not where you need to be. Maybe you need to be at a startup. So don't try to force whatever someone else is putting on you into your life. Do you?
Do you? That's
Yes.
a great piece of information and advice that you just gave everyone. Deena, you're amazing. I really appreciate this time. What you are doing in the community is what's up. Speaking of in the community, so you are at Black Tech Week. How was that?
Oh, that was awesome. So what happened there, I actually did a live podcast episode, and you can listen to it on SoundCloud, Google Play, Stitcher, anywhere you can hear podcasts, Apple Podcasts. And so I did a live episode with the SVP of Comcast. It's a woman. Her name's Ebony Lee. Such a good episode. She had so much knowledge. I wish we actually had more time because she was just a wonderful person to interview, and just her story is amazing. And she was a non-technical founder or non-technical person who moved into tech. So that's always a helpful story to hear because not everyone is technical.
Right.
And so that was awesome. And then just seeing all the different people and all the different businesses that a lot of the African-American and Black people had at the event, it was just amazing. It was amazing to be around that type of energy, those people, the advice that came out of that, and conversations. And I've met a ton of people who I'm still in contact with now. Granted, I know it was only like a week ago or so, but I'm still in contact with them.
Hey, you have so many connections. It is what's up. Like,
I just like learning people's stories. I like talking to people and learning more about them. And so I'm going to take that chance so I have it.
I agree. I agree. And I definitely recommend others that are out there to be the same way because your network would definitely benefit you. You know,
they always say, you can use this one too, your network is your net worth.
Facts.
If you have a crappy network, like if you get laid off tomorrow, how are you going to get a job? So right. Your network is your net worth.
Facts. Another piece of great advice. Man, look, I could do this. I could do this all day, you know, and we could talk about them calves and all that stuff. But I definitely thank you for taking time out your day to hop on this interview and give information back to the community. That's what's up.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me. I really enjoyed it. I'm always down for whatever other interviews, whatever.
Yes. Now, do you have any socials that you want to share out?
Of course. So you can find me at blacktechunplugged.com. That's the website. You'll find different blog posts. You can find event recaps. You can also check out Instagram.com. We are Black Tech Unplugged. So we do a lot of events where I do Black Tech Takeovers. So Black people who are going to tech events can take over the Instagram account and share their experience, and you can learn about different experiences. Actually, we're going to do Tech Lamert coming up this weekend, I believe. And there's another event, Black Women Talk Tech, that we're going to take over. So make sure you head over to the Instagram. And I'm also on Twitter that's BLK Tech. Unplugged is UNPLGED. There's character limits. Right. And then you can find me on Instagram too at Deena, DEENA_MCKAY. Same on Twitter, Facebook, all that.
Cool. And I will have all those links in the description. So please feel free to follow Deena, connect with Deena. And I'm sure if you reach out with questions, she would definitely be more than willing to hook you up.
Yes. You can actually email blacktechunplugged@gmail.com. Feel free to send a message, send support, and please go on Apple Podcasts and rate me a 5 in the podcast.
Yes, please. That definitely means a lot to helping her grow and advance.
Yes.
Cool.
So thank you in advance, too.
Yes, thanks.